Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and in this video I want to cover the exotic weapons that you may want to think about, complete a catalyst for, or work on acquiring before Witch Queen to help you against champions. They told us in the last TWAB the champions are going to be anti-barrier, is going to be bows and scouts, overload is going to be autos and SMGs, and they confirmed the unstoppable will be able to be tackled by the Glaive, and then I'm assuming one other thing, they just haven't told us what that is. And just to clarify, I assume the Glaive is going to be this style of mod, probably 6 energy cost, because it's going to be a special weapon, because it's got a projectile, it's melee, it's got a shield on it. So it's a beefier weapon, so I imagine it's going to be more expensive. Your standard primaries are going to be over here, so you're probably going to have anti-barrier, bows and scouts, then you're going to have your overloads as autos and SMGs, and then we'll probably have 1 or 2 options for pulse for unstoppable, and maybe it is unstoppable pulse and unstoppable sidearm again. I don't know, but there's not a lot of primaries left, so I'm assuming one of these will probably be the unstoppable, so I'll give you a couple honorable guesses there as well. First thing I want to cover is anti-barrier weapons, and we're going to cover the bows first. You've got Wish Ender. This is a quest that you've really only got access to for 4 more weeks. So my suggestion, go into the Tangled Shore, start this quest, go into the Shattered Throne, and acquire this thing. It doesn't have a catalyst. It has a piercing ability, and with regards to anti-barrier, it could be good, and if it ever got a catalyst, it could be very good. It's a slower draw time, but if it hits pretty hard and could do some damage, I'd love to see this thing get a catalyst and get a nice bump. But if you don't have this Wish Ender bow, go find a video, go acquire this weapon, because in about 4 weeks, I don't know how hard it's going to be to get this thing and what the tasks are going to require. So my suggestion, get this one now. When it comes to the energy bows, they're all amazing. Trinity Ghoul, especially with the catalyst, lightning rod triggers from any arc damage final blow, whether it's the chain lightning from a precision kill. Once you get it procced, it just like continues to reload that lightning rod and chain reaction. And you can just spread that chain lightning if you fire a loose spread of the 3 bolts, or if you pull it together and get that aim down sights, it's nice tight on a boss. So it's great for ad clearing, and it's also going to be very good for anti-barrier champions, that chain lightning. This one is going to be fun to use, I promise you. Monaque could actually be very powerful against anti-barrier, because once the poison actually starts ticking on them, if the poison tick can actually take away their barrier shield or keep that damage on them, they're going to be really easy to manage. So Monaque and Void Shields potentially for anti-barrier, I'm picturing like servitors and stuff. I think this one could actually be very, very good to use for champions. If the poison can tick that barrier shield, could be great. Ticuu's Divination is actually really good because you can have tracking projectiles from hipfire. So you tag 3 enemies, and then if you get that precision shot on them, you're going to get them to explode. And then if you actually hit that precision draw perfectly, you're going to increase the power of the detonation. It's just a really fun thing to tag, explode, and you can do the tag explode to groups of targets, or you can do it to a single target like a champion. So again, great for ad clear. It's going to be a good solar weapon, and also very good for champions, I think, too. When it comes to kinetic scout rifles, there's really only one worth mentioning, and it's Deadman's Tale. Mida multi-tool, not bad in PvP. Jade Rabbit is literally, I think, only fun in momentum control, but I think that weapon just needs a full rework. But Deadman's Tale, and if you can get Vorpal right here, is a great champion weapon, because now Vorpal on primaries is 20%. Then you go throw Major Spec on there, and for champions, you're doing 27% more damage with a scout rifle. So you can sit there and work down a barrier champion with your primary weapon very, very well. So again, my recommendation is to farm Deadman's Tale for these next 4 weeks. Get yourself a Vorpal weapon if you're lucky enough, because I can promise you, Xur is eventually going to sell a good one, but the cost from Xur is going to be very expensive. It's easier just to run the mission 4 more times, and if you get lucky, you won't have to pay an arm and a leg to get an exotic from Xur. But Deadman's Tale, if you can get Vorpal right here, it's going to be a great, great champion weapon. When it comes to energy weapons, we've got Skyburner's Oath. If we have Cabal in any way, and you have scout rifles for anti-barrier, if you have a Cabal anti-barrier, this is perfect, because you've got the tracking slugs where you fire from the hip. You've got aim down sights where it's faster and more damage. You've also got more, it's full auto, extra damage to Cabal, and penetrates phalanx shields. This is an old exotic, but if you have like a Cabal Lost Sector or something, this could theoretically be a very good weapon for those situations. So don't forget about this one. I promise it could have some use. If you go Cabal, if you face Cabal, Skyburner's Oath might be good, but I think Polaris Lance is going to be a beast. You've got precision hits return ammo to the mag. so you can sit there and fire next to indefinitely. Landing 4 precision hits loads a delayed solar explosive round for your next shot. And you can just sit there and unload on a champion over and over, and just make sure you've got enough ammo with regards to the barrier shield. But if you're hitting like if you're hitting those precision shots, you're not going to be low on ammo. Enough scout rifle hits will break that thing. 3 or 4 shots later, and especially if you get 3 or 4 precision ones, you're going to get an explosion. And you can do a lot of work with this weapon. So if you don't have Polaris Lance, get this weapon, get the Catalyst. I think this could be very, very good, especially in the right situation. The final half honorable mention here is going to be Symmetry. It's a full auto arc scout rifle, and you've got the option to switch to these arc seekers. Once you get enough precision hits, you build up the charge. Those things actually hit really hard in PvP. You can basically like one tap a Guardian. So if you're able to put a lot of build up those, they swap over, you switch, the arc seeker breaks the shield, and you can dump a lot of damage into a champion. I don't know how strong the arc seekers are in PvP, or PvE I should say. But I will say a full auto arc scout rifle with a chance to get some nice burst damage from those seekers. I don't know if it's going to be god tier, but I could see it having some fun use in an arc one if you want to mess around with a scout rifle. And I would have told many of you guys a while ago, Ariana's Vow, it's like the ultimate, barrier weapon because it's always there. It's a hand cannon, so you got decent ammo. And it's, it's a pretty solid weapon. But there's a new king, and it is Arbalest. If you do not have this weapon, hope Xur sells it. Buy the engram from Xur if you don't have it, and hopeful that he drops it. But those of you who have Arbalest, and then as soon as you get it, you'll know what I mean. Fire slugs that cause massive damage to enemy shields. And it doesn't matter if it's arc, if it's solar, if it's void, you can break every type of shield. So that already makes it a good against every type of shield. Then you've got Disruption Break. Breaking enemy shield with this weapon makes them more vulnerable to kinetic damage for a brief period. This is a kinetic weapon, so you break the shield, now they take more damage. And it's also an anti-barrier weapon. So this is literally anti-barrier, also arc, solar, and void shield compatible, and it's a kinetic weapon, so you get bonus damage. Like, this is going to be my champion weapon for anti-barrier pretty much as long as I can use it, because linear fusion rifles have got a buff multiple times recently. They're in a good place, even without particle deconstruction. This is an amazing barrier weapon, and honestly still one that I will be using a lot in Witch Queen. So if you don't have this one, if you got the Catalyst, it even just gives it Genesis, so if you break a shield, you basically get that, that ammo back, gets you a little bit more handling. I promise you, this is going to be probably a god tier champion weapon for anti-barrier, one that I highly suggest like maxing out, leveling up, and having ready. So when it comes to overload weapons, we've got Auto Rifles and SMGs. Now, there are a couple that I'm going to skip over. Sweet Business and Cerberus +1. They're fun to goof around with, but they're not really going to be like god tier when it comes to any PvE activity unless they get some magical buffs or something. So I am not going to, and I'll say this, and in the TWAB, they're going to tell me they're going to buff these two. But honestly, right now, as I'm making this video on January 25th, I don't expect these two to be anything you need to worry about. Suros Regime, on the other hand, is actually a fun weapon to use. You've got spinning up, so you've got faster rate of fire wall firing. Bottom half of the magazine dealing bonus damage and having chance to return health if you get a kill, never a bad thing. But for champions, you need range, typically for barrier, and you also need to be able to hit them kind of chunkily, which is going to happen with dual speed receiver. Chunkily, probably also not a word. When aiming down sights, weapon rate of fire slows, but your damage increases, so you need less hits on target to break that barrier shield. And then if you've also got range, you're able to use this thing like kind of a little mini pulse, slower, more accurate. Bonus damage on the second half, get a chance to kill if you're killing little ads. I don't know if this is going to be like worth the exotic slot over your entire loadout, but the fact that you can get health, you can fire slower for more damage, bottom half gets you more damage, and you'll be able to pepper those, like, to picture like a barrier servitor, for example, just pepper it from far away with this thing. It actually could be one of those ones that I'm going to experiment with and see. I'd like to see this thing get some nice use. So this is one I would definitely consider checking on, see if you got the catalyst done, that type of thing. Monte Carlo is the other kinetic, and this one honestly can be used really well with a melee build. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown. Every time you do damage, it's an auto rifle with 43 bullets. Just shoot things and you're going to get your melee up all the time. If you're unloading on a bigger target, like a champion, your melee will be up more frequently as well. It also grants a chance to fully charge your melee when you get a kill. So you might just kill a little ad and your melee is just up. So you're going to have your melee ability all the time. Also, this weapon gains increased damage from melee kills. and kills with this weapon. Melee kills grant ammo for this weapon. Used to be a bigger deal, but now we have infinite ammo. The big thing about it, I don't know if this is ever going to get a catalyst. Hopefully it does, because it would probably take this thing to very god tier in PvE stuff if you can get a melee build. The other thing, if we get an artifact mod like this, Thermoclastic Strike, and you can use like anti-barrier, well, now I can use Monte Carlo. I've got my melee up basically all the time, and now you've got solar and stasis melee disrupt combatants and can be used on overload champions. Then you don't have to worry about overload champions because you have your auto rifle giving you your melee all the time. So you've actually got a chance to have a fun little build here if they do something like this, where your melee with a certain type of melee will handle a different type of champion than anti-barrier. This could be fun. So again, think about these types of builds. Monte Carlo is one of those where you can have some fun with a melee build. Another one I'm going to skip over is Tommy's Matchbook. With regards to PvE, yeah, it's fun to, overheat the weapon, get a little extra damage. But in PvE, you really never want to kill yourself. So I'm not going to claim that this is going to be amazing. If it gets a big change up, cool. But hurting yourself for extra damage in PvE, generally not worth it. But an auto rifle that is 100% worth it, working kind of in a similar way to Arbalest, is going to be Hard Light. Every so often when Hard Light comes up for champions, you've got the option of this weapon being used very frequently because it has a chance to be Arc, Solar, and Void. So you can handle a lot of different types of shields. Rounds from this weapon have reduced damage fall off, so the range is crazy. If you get the Catalyst, I think it's even better. Over penetrates, ricochets off hard surfaces, and if they bounce, they actually do more damage if you can hit them. So this is an auto rifle that will handle overload champions. Then, if there's other shields of Arc, Solar, or Void, you can just hold down R real quick to switch whether it's Arc, Solar, or Void. Take care of those shields, and you've got an auto rifle for just clearing out ads. And it's a laser light show, so it's fun to use. So yeah, when it comes to overload, if they tweak the overload champions to like function better against auto rifles and SMGs, which I hope they do because that's our only options, Hard Light for just the versatility for all the different shield types is kind of a must-have when it comes to things with a lot of different shield types. Like if you get a Lost Sector, there's 2 or 3 options, you're covered. When it comes to SMGs, you have the Huckleberry, which is kills partially, reload the magazine, and you fire faster when you actually hold down the trigger. And with the Catalyst, if you get a kill, you fully reload the magazine, and you've got Rampage. It's fun for clearing ads. It is honestly one of the most fun weapons to use, to have it fire even faster, and then do more damage with Rampage. And if you get a kill, your magazine's full again. You can just sit there and mow down enemies forever, but that's little stuff. If you're thinking about a champion, I don't think Huckleberry is really going to be my go-to. Same thing when it comes to Teraba. For one, this is a raid weapon, so I know not everybody has it. It could be interesting. This weapon stores power when dealing and receiving damage, so you actually get a nice little charge of energy. If they change this thing to where it keeps the charge as you switch back and forth, then this could get really good. When you unleash the beast, it can do a lot of damage, and maybe you could just mow down and melt a champion. I just don't know until it gets a couple tweaks to it if it's really worth considering depending on this one. But the one SMG that I would probably not take off if arc damage is coming your way is this guy. When taking arc damage, so when you get hit by arc, and if you guys watch my Grasp of Avarice video, you know how good this thing is. This weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming arc damage. So you do more damage, you resist incoming arc damage, kills extend the time in this overcharged state. The overcharged state gives you ammo back into the magazine and does chain lightning to enemies. So for clearing ads, it is great. If they're dealing arc damage to you, you are more powerful and you resist that arc damage, so you're going to stay alive longer. And then if you proc that chain lightning, you're going to be able to, for one, stun the champion very quickly with that chain lightning, and two, if the damage is procced when this thing is in superconductor mode, you'll also be able to do a lot of damage to that champion, so you don't have to stun the champion and switch. If you get this thing to proc at the right time, you might be able to just melt that champion with this gun by itself. So RiskRunner, I think, has the chance in certain situations, especially a lot of Fallen, or if you're dealing with a lot of arc damage coming in, maybe some of those chieftains and stuff we've seen that can be crazy. This weapon is going to be one that you may want to fall back on because the resiliency of the resisting incoming arc damage keeps you alive longer than you would expect. So finally, as I said, we know Unstoppable is going to be the Glaive. That's a melee projectile shield weapon. It does a lot, but it's probably going to be the expensive thing in the artifact. You have a couple Unstoppable weapons already that are intrinsic. Bastion, it's a fusion rifle. Hits pretty hard, but unfortunately we don't have particle deconstruction, so this one may not be quite as sought after for PvE. Then you've got Devil's Ruin, which is going to be a nice little sidearm. Has that little laser beam where you can do sidearm kills, but then the laser beam will stun unstoppable champions. Not a bad little weapon, actually, if you've ever used it. And then for power, you've got Leviathan's Breath, and these are the ones with intrinsic unstoppable use. Even with the Leviathan's Breath getting Archer's Tempo, I don't imagine it's still going to be amazing. I need to finish this catalyst for a little bigger quiver, but I still don't think that draw time, even with Archer's Tempo, is going to be worth it unless I can one-tap a champion, but I haven't seen that yet. But my speculation is you're either going to be getting sidearms, stuff like Traveler's Chosen, Cryosthesia, Forerunner, with regards to Unstoppable, or you're going to be looking at Pulse Rifles. And if you got Pulse Rifles, you've got things like Graviton Lance, you've got Outbreak Perfected. You've got some fun pulse rifles where you can actually have some fun with those. And I don't know what it's going to be because I'm kind of running out of ideas, but we only have so many slots. I don't imagine it's going to be hand cannon unstoppable. They haven't done that one before. Maybe they'll throw us a loop. Who knows? But for now, those are the weapons that you should be making sure you have, completing the catalyst for, trying to acquire if there are certain resources and stuff. If you need to know how to acquire weapons, I know I didn't do a full list of them. I might try and put one of those in the comments below if I get it all together. But a lot of them are either going to be from catalysts, random drops, maybe from Xur, make sure you buy that engram every week, or if there are quests, make sure you go do those. But if you found this video beneficial, if this will help you prepare, kind of get exotics in your mind of what to use for Witch Queen, drop a like below. If there's anything I didn't mention in the comments, please put that in the comments below so I can get some nice information in case I forgot anything. If you want to find me on Twitter, it is Ebontis for whatever I post on there. Streaming on Twitch, it's going to be definitely plenty of Destiny when we get closer to Witch Queen, but also right now we're doing a lot of variety over there, so come hang out. And on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, hit the alert bell so you guys get aware of my future videos so they can make it to you. And if you want to support me, you can join the channel as a member after you subscribe or find my Patreon down below in the description. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.